my channel. I am Kay Reads. Thank you guys for coming back. I'm so happy today to have this author because we've been trying to schedule, and it's been my fault because life been life and y'all. But I cannot wait to talk to her. We've been trying to talk for a while, and I have Miss Monique Fisher with me today. So how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, can't complain. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first question I ask all my writers is, how and why did you get started into indie writing?
Control freak. I mean, there's no point in beating around the bush. My background is in theater, so I actually have a degree in theater arts and dance. My concentrations were playwriting and stage directing. And then from there, I jumped into television writing. I took a whole lot of classes. I'm born and raised and still currently live in Los Angeles. So there's like tons. If you want a screenwriting class or a TV writing class, there's tons of them out here. So I took a few for a few years and I tried to break into the industry. And I don't regret the steps that I took from playwriting to TV writing to comic book writing, which is the next thing that I got into. Because it doesn't hurt to know how to write in different mediums. But the one thing that was consistent was I knew I wanted to write, but I wanted autonomy. And it wasn't until I realized, indie publishing, self-publishing, that I thought, okay, so this is the thing that I want to do. I want to write and I want autonomy and control. And that's when I realized writing indie, writing novels. I was starting to really dive into romance novels at the moment. And I had written I guess you could call it a romantic crime story in the form of a graphic novel. So romance was definitely on the brain. And I feel like there's two types of Black book girlies. There's the ones who grew up reading Frances Ray and Brenda Jackson, and of course, Miss Bev. And then there's the ones that grew up reading Terry McMillan, Eric Jerome Dickey, B.B. Moore Campbell. And there is intersection. The romance girlies were reading that as well, and vice versa. And then we all just kind of like intersected with Zane. But yeah, I was definitely a Eric Jerome Dickey, Terry McMillan girly. So I hadn't read a lot of those ladies who are our forebears. So, but I found myself becoming more and more intrigued with indie Black romance. And so I just started buying up books and just snapping and snatching them up. And just from there, following people, interacting with people, becoming friends with people, and joining writers groups. Like one of the first groups I joined was Smut University. And then after that, I was with Word Makers, which is Tasha L. Harrison's group. This has been a blessing. Becoming an indie author has truly been a blessing. I found the type of writing that I desperately want to do. And I also made a lot of amazing connections and made a lot of wonderful friends. When we talk about BRBF, we can talk more about that.
So that you have a background in like screenwriting and playwriting, because I think that's really, really cool that you have it. So you can basically write like, different elements, and you have different ways to write craft stories and stuff. So I think that's kind of dope. That's really dope. And you said comic books. I'm a Marvel head. Are you too, or are you more on DC side?
I'm a Marvel head. I love DC. I love Swamp Thing. I love John Constantine. Who else? Wonder Woman, of course, Batman, Superman. I actually like Superman better than Batman, which a lot of people don't. But yeah, I'm mostly a Marvel.
Okay, I am too. So the book that I read from you was She's a Baddie. It was looking at the cover, you would think there was spice in it because the way the cover is. And by the way, I just want to say your covers are so dope, and I love the fact that all your covers are illustrated.
Thank you. That's from the comic book influence.
Yes, they are super cute, y'all. Y'all definitely can check it out. But girl, the spice. Okay. So if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically friends to lovers trope / fake dating, and they kind of like basically another trope that I could really put in there too after reading it is more so like their friend group around them knew that they wanted to be with each other, but it's more so of like, I like that person, but I don't want to ruin our friendship for that person. So what made you want to write about Izzy and Chris?
You know what's funny is so many years after having written that, I find myself wondering. I go back to old books and I try to remember what was the influence, what was the inspiration. And for Shia, I really can't remember, but for some reason, I just really wanted to write a popular girl nerd. I don't know why, but I was just like, I really want to write a romance where like the popular girl is friends with the nerd in high school, and then like years later they get together, and he's still a nerd. Like, this wasn't like he did glow up and he did become much more confident and he did like, start working out and everything. But for the most part, he's still very much a nerd. He's still very awkward talking around people. That's why he needed her help. So I wanted to just write a awkward nerd who gets the popular girl in the end.
Because when they're at the retreat and he was basically talking about the TV show and everybody looked at him like, but at the same time, you had somebody that would like, that jumped in, and Izzy with the couples trivia. And even though Chris was like, okay, I know you're not really a big Lord of the Rings fan, but the fact that she stayed up and basically got the information and studied it, to where the fact that he got his mouth up like, what the hell? It's like, what the freak? So I do love that. I also even love Chris' side, when they talked about different sex positions and stuff like that, and her telling him that, yeah, I'm into, soft BDSM, and him researching it and stuff. I think that book was really, really cute. I read it on my Kindle, but I will be getting a copy of that book because that book was super, super cute. Also, Make Room for Heather. Are we still getting that this year?
Not this year, next year.
Next year? Okay.
Yeah, my plan is to release that and the third installment in the Richardson sibling trilogy.
So you was at the inaugural Black Romance Book Festival that happened in Atlanta last month.
Oh, no, I guess
last month, yeah. I'm still a little upset I didn't get a chance to go, but it's okay. How was that experience and how was the weekend for you?
I'm just going to say what everybody else has been saying online. BRBF owes me nothing. It was like a big ass family reunion. I had so much fun. And more importantly, I have been saying this like on social media talking about the festival. I don't think I've ever felt as safe as I did like in that environment. Everybody has basically been saying that. They're like, I didn't have to code switch. I could be myself. I can be like there was like a whole plethora of Black women there, and all of us were different. You had the rom-com girlies, you had the dark romance girlies, you had like the kind of nerdy, and I say this with the deepest respect because I'm a nerd too. You had like the nerdy fantasy girlies. You had every type of Black woman represented, and it was like almost 2,000 of us, and it was just all love. You can feel how everybody was with one another. Like I remember me and my assistant, my friend Sula Sullivan, shout out to her. She was an amazing assistant. She was that weekend would not have gone off the way it did without her. So shout out to her. We were grabbing my boxes from like the courtroom, and then we were like trying to weave our way like just a sea of Black women. Like, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. And no type of pushback. Just let me move. Okay, go ahead, girl, go ahead. That was like a tiny little microcosm of the overall weekend. It was just us showing each other love, showing each other respect, and making each other feel safe. It was amazing.
So did you get a chance to, after your signings, did you get a chance to meet any of your favorite writers, if you had the time to do so?
I got to meet a lot of my friends for the first time in person. These are people that I've known for years, that I've literally met through word makers, through Tasha's, and people that I've worked with, that I'm still currently working with. Mika James. Mika is an amazing writer, and she has been my beta reader for, I think, 4 of my novels now. Rayshawn Love, who is also an amazing author and who also has proofread and beta read for me. So these are people that I'm literally friends with. Like I write in sprints every morning with 3 of my friends. Now they can't always meet, but we meet usually in the morning or sometimes like around the afternoon, and we'll just do sprints together. That's me, Kelly Kane, Mia Heiselman, and Margot Hendricks. Mia, she has been one of the most gracious, generous people that I've ever known. When I first dived into this, I dived in to the Black side of Romancelandia, and that was just basically like how BRBF felt. Hey, you're new here, welcome. And 2 people that I became friends with immediately was Mia Heiselman, who again, generous with her knowledge, generous with her time, and just an overall just wonderful person who wants everyone to win. Those are the type of people you want to surround yourself with.
That's a fact, I agree.
And the second person was, I call her by her real name, but y'all know her as Bella J.
I love Bella.
Amazing writer, amazing person. I love that woman. I told her, you and I are gonna be friends until the weekend. You're gonna get sick of me. And it's funny because she and I, we met for the first time in person. And this is a woman who not only would we be interacting with each other on social media, but every few months I would be like, hey, you want to hop on Zoom and talk? And she was like, yeah, sure. And we would talk for like 2 or 3 hours, like every few months. And this is, I've known this woman for 3 years. So every few months we would literally talk for 3 years on Zoom. And then we met for the first time at the Mixer. And we hugged each other. And at one point later on in the weekend, she was like, girl, you and I have been friends for a long time. And now we finally meet. You are so short. Literally, guys, she said that heartfelt shit. And it said,
I interviewed her for my channel, I think last year, and she just comes off very like, I love you, but I'm gonna tell you how you like. I'm gonna tell you what it is, real type.
She's genuine. She's genuine. You can't. That's something money can't buy.
Oh, yeah.
She is very, very genuine. I love her. That was so hilarious. She literally was. Because it's funny. Because later on, when I got back, Jaleesa posted something on Threads where everybody was talking about everybody's height. That was like a thing. People were like, some of y'all are stallions and some of y'all are just short.
Yeah, I'm going to meet Bella next month, actually. She's with the House Party Experience with Alexandria House.
I want to go to that so badly. I can't. Yeah. One of these years, I'm going to go to that. I'm that and Behind the Pen.
Oh yeah, facts. That too. Yeah, yes. Those two. Yeah, I got invited to go, so I'm going to be one of the authors there. So, and I saw the final list, and I saw that she was going to come be there. I was like, oh, dope. And then I realized majority of the people that are going to be there, I've interviewed for my channel. So, and I've only met like in person Nicole Falls and AJ Cunningham when they came down here for a book event in Charleston. So I'm like, I get to meet these people. Yes, AH. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, it's not. I get to meet these people, get to see Nicole again, get to see AH again. I was like, yay! But I'm also nervous, so I hope it'd be like, do you remember me? I hope so.
You're about to have an amazing time. Those are all really, really wonderful people.
Yeah.
It's funny because Miss Cunningham, Tasha L. Harrison, and Mia Heiselman, and even Densula too, and all of Winters, they all went in on me. I was signing my books for the table, for the signing table, and they were like, go eat something. And they literally all told me off because I didn't eat anything.
I love the fact that, the community was there. And even though I wasn't there, just seeing the highlights of it, people talking about it, seeing the vlogs of how, like you said, everybody felt comfortable.
You're seeing that right now with Indie Love. People are Indie Love. It's like, it's the same feeling.
Yeah, so I can't wait to experience, a book event by us for us next month. But at the same time, I signed up for BRBF for next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed that I get it. If not, it's okay. I'm gonna try for the influencers. So either way, I'm gonna be there. So, and speaking of which, did you sign up again for next year?
I did, but that was before I realized that this is how ambitious I was being. I already signed up and committed to going to Sign with Spice, which is in Maine, and I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been to Maine, and there's a bookstore there called Grump and Sunshine, and they're the ones who are putting it on. So I'm really looking forward to it. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be amazing! I could do Side with Spice and then fly down and then do BRBF." And then I realized it's happening the same exact weekend, so there's no I'll be able to do.
Yikes! Snap!
I thought that I was under the impression that Side with Spice was like maybe a few days before, so I was like, "Oh, I could fly down." I had a whole plan. And then I went and I checked, and I was like, "Oh." I am looking forward to going to Maine. I think it's going to be a really fun trip, and it'll be interesting. It'll be almost like a social experiment to compare the two. But I definitely want to go back in 2027.
That's cool.
I told myself I would only do local stuff, but I made that one caveat. I was like, only local stuff in 2027 unless it's BRBF or House Party or Behind the Pen.
Okay, cool. So let's get into your new book, your cover. Gorgeous. The book is Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming. And I read the synopsis before we got on. And it sounds, to be honest, the way that the synopsis hits, it sounds like a movie. It sounds like a movie because, like you said, it's like 4 friends who go to New Orleans and they go to this psychic, and basically the psychic tells them, hey, all 4 of you guys are going to be in love within a year. They laugh it off. And then you have a breakdown of exactly all the friends and how they go through. It sounds like something I would watch in a movie.
Well, my background comes from a lot of imagery. So, a good part, one of the things that I love about doing this is the challenges that it comes with. How do I convey this story that sounds very, very image driven into words? That way
Gotcha.
you can see what it is that I'm describing.
Got it.
And I've had people even tell me, when I read your books, it's like a movie's playing in my head.
Yeah.
And when I write them, it's like a movie's playing in my head.
Mhm.
I can see the people. I can see what's happening. And it's funny, it's fascinating because there's some people who say, "Oh, I just see words." And I'm like, I wouldn't even begin to know how to do that. I just see images because, I started with the stage and then the screen and then panels. So that's why illustrated covers are so important to me, because once again, I'm a control freak. So I want what's up here. I want to see that, and you can't always get that with real people. So plus, don't get started on the limited amounts of. It's gotten better. I heard that it has gotten better, but also you got to be careful with AI that you don't end up, So as for me, hiring an artist and going through the whole process and seeing the initial sketch and then making the changes and then seeing them move on to color, I like that. That's worth its weight in gold.
Oh yeah,
I love that part. That's like one of my favorite parts is seeing, handing Lenny Kaufman, who did the cover for Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming, as well as some of my other books. Sending her imagery from Living Single and How I Met Your Mother, sending her imagery of different bars, sending her a synopsis, telling her what each person looks like, showing her like imagery in terms of the inspiration for each character, their hair, their skin tone, what they're wearing, things of that nature. Giving all of that to her and then having her come back with the initial sketch and then saying, "How about this?" And then I tell her what I want changed. Then she goes back and then she comes back with another sketch. "How's this? Perfect. Let's move on." And then she goes and then she comes back with color. And then I'll say, "Can this one's skin tone be a little bit lighter? Can this one's skin tone be a little bit darker?" "No problem." She goes back and then sends me the finish product. Like that whole process to me, I love that. I love that. So for me, it's always worth the investment to hire an artist, and I will stand 10 toes down with that assessment. But yeah, just that I love the idea that you can kind of see where I was going just by looking at the cover. Because there's a lot of people who've told me, I just dive in. I don't read your blurbs. I try to make sure that the cover really does convey the story. I want things to be apparent from when you look at the cover and house. One of the things I want to be apparent is the people on the cover are definitely fucking. I want that to be apparent. And I also want like kind of like the story and the plot to kind of be apparent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny that you say that because I kind of look at covers the same way I look at movie posters. Like you can tell what it's about from the poster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I want that to be apparent with my covers as well. Because like I said, there's plenty of people who don't read blurbs. They just type.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, imagery is like a huge part of my background. So I'm not surprised that it kind of sounds like a movie. But yeah, that's what people told me. They told me that they've read my books and they see it. They see the imagery. They see everything. So I try to make that apparent. It's not always easy with just you don't want to repeat the same words. You don't want to repeat the same phrases. You don't want to, but at the same time, you do want to demonstrate what's going on and let people, picture it in their head, and doing so all while making someone laugh. It's challenging. I love the challenge.
So what is one thing that you can tell us without trying to spoil it about the book that's coming out in August?
Basically just the plot. It's about 4 best friends. I got the idea based on imagery. I in Gen X, I grew up watching a lot of TV, and thinking these ladies are my send up to Golden Girls and Girlfriends. So, for example, Lyric is what I would picture Dorothy and Tony. Sushi is Rose and Joan are my answer to it, and Amy is my answer to Blanche and Lynn, and Maya and Sophia that's Bridget. Bridget's my son, Maya and Sophia. So it's just take the Golden Girls and Girlfriends and add like my voice or my style, my writing style to it. I thought, it's kind of a send off to sitcoms. It's a rom com, so it's kind of like my little send off to sitcoms in a way. Those sitcoms where it's like Living Single, like where the friend group is mixed friend.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's also still a send off to the fact that those friend groups almost always have like the people get coupled up. So, you have now a friend group of 8 people, and it consists of all couples. So that was definitely an inspiration. Idea of those sitcoms where there's a mixed friend group and there's coupling within the friend group.
Dope.
Yeah, that's what it's about. You got four best friends. They go on a girls' trip to New Orleans. The psychic tells them that they're all going to meet the love of their lives within a year's time. They laugh it off, and they realize fate will not be denied. And then it goes into each individual story. So it's an anthology. First, you have Lyric and Ranson, and then you have Amy and Patrick, and then you have Suchi and Kofi, and then you have Bridget and Silas. And it's interconnected with my
Oh, dope. So I cannot wait to read that. And then you said Golden Girls and Girlfriends, and I love both shows. So I know meshing together very, very well. So let's get into your advice for new writers. If someone's watching this and they want to do what you do, what is like some advice that you would give them?
Craft advice is always study. You never know too much. This is an endless education. So read craft books. I personally am more of a visual learner. I do read craft books, but I also watch like video essays on YouTube about the craft of writing and about comedy. Because if you're trying to be a rom-com writer, study comedy because it's hard. It is not easy. When I was in theater, we were told it's easier to make somebody cry than it is to make them laugh. And it frankly, it really is. So just based on my background, I can definitely tell you it is much tougher, but it's also incredibly rewarding and it's incredibly fun. But yeah, definitely know your craft, study your craft, never stop studying your craft. So from a craft standpoint, that's my advice. From a branding and personal standpoint, don't be an asshole. Do not be an asshole. It may sound like obvious advice, but there's a lot of folks out there who are a bit too big for the britches and go around. We see it every day. We see it every day on social media. Somebody will put their foot in their mouth, say something completely out of pocket, and then next thing you know, they end up on a multiple DNR list. So just do not be an asshole. I've gotten that advice twice. When I was in Cedar City, Utah, for an event called ACTF, the American College Theater Festival, there were different panels and classes and stuff, and one of them was taught by a working actor. He said, what's the most important thing about being successful in this business? People were like, tenacity, talent, perseverance, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, it's all great. Don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to work with an asshole. And then years later, I'm taking a television writing class. For TV writing, there's like 12 people. You're in a room together for hours on end. You have to get along with each other. That's what a television writer's room looks like. And so, sure enough, same thing, same exact words. Do not be an asshole. Nobody wants to spend 12 hours a day in a small room with an asshole. And also, this industry is small. It's like, make no mistake, you are part of the entertainment industry. Your books are a form of entertainment. All this stuff is interconnected. Books get made into television and movies all the time. And if we're talking about the industry as a whole, just whether it's publishing, filmmaking, theater, dance, opera, television, whatever, it's all interconnected. Everybody knows each other. More importantly, people talk. If we're talking about Black folks within the industry, it's even smaller. Only as good as your reputation. And if your reputation is being somebody who folks wouldn't want to work with, so yeah, don't be an asshole.
Because that is true. Because especially in the Black indie world, yeah, it might be big, but it's super.
Yeah, and everybody talks.
Exactly. Everybody talks, especially now more since like I started in 2021, so that was like about 4 years ago. And it was, smaller. Like it wasn't small, but it's like say medium, but now because everybody is writing it, because it is getting bigger and more noticeable, it's even bigger and huger now. But at the same time, it's small.
It's like there's a lot of us, but at the same time, it's a very, very small world.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows each other. I've had situations where I took a television writing class, and then I went to a friend's wedding from years before, and the chick from my television writing class was at my friend's wedding. My friend I knew from the theater world, and the television writing young woman, obviously, I knew from there. And the two of them knew each other and were friends and have been friends. Wow. There's a lot of a crossover.
Yeah.
Stuff gets adapted all the time, so you want to make sure that you make connections with people that are genuine. You want to make sure that you connect yourself with the right people. And you also want to make sure that you are not an asshole, because again, who wants to work with an asshole?
So for the new readers, what is one book out of your collection that you would recommend to start off?
The Offer Teacher, because a lot of people, that's my most popular book, and it's actually free right now.
Shout out.
The ebook is going to be free until the 22nd. And then after that, on the 26th, it's my birthday. So for my birthday, I'm going to put the follow-up book, Spend My Life With You, on sale for 99 cents, the ebook on Amazon. But yeah, that's not my first book, and it's not even my first book in my rom-com universe, but it's the one that definitely has gotten the most attention. And I think it's a good introductory book. For a couple of readers. Hopefully you'll be inclined to read the book after you read it.
Do you have any more books that you're willing to talk about that you have in the future lineup?
Well, after Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming, I'm planning on releasing 2 novelettes. The goal is to release them on the same day.
Ooh.
So about like they're both going to be 20K words. You're going to meet a character. First off, if you read She a Baddie, you've already met his sister. You've met Michaela Hamilton. So one of the male main characters in Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming is Ranson Hamilton, her older brother.
Okay.
So from there, the Hamilton family continues with Braxton and Cordell. So Braxton and Cordell are going to get their own novelettes, and that's going to come out later this year.
And the last question before we close out, what does Black romance mean to you?
Exactly what it is. Black romance is a romance written by a Black author with Black protagonists. That is Black romance. It is love, is joy. This is from my book, from my books. You get unabashed love. You get unapologetic love. You get unapologetic Blackness. You get unapologetic joy. The idea that our ancestors were not allowed to read, and now not only do I read, but I write, and I write about Black people experiencing ever-loving happiness, meeting, finding the love of their lives, being whole and complete individually, while also adding something to that person's life, and they add something to yours. That's what my books are about, and I'm going to try to make you laugh while I do it. To me, that's what that's is.
Period. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. You are like I said, you are the last interview of season 4, and I couldn't be more happier about that. I am taking a mini break to get ready for this book event, as well as trying to finish my 9th book, because I have been slacking on that. So definitely I'll be back maybe, if not the end of the year, then definitely early next year, the interviews. So I'm going to leave all your information in the comment section below, as well as the book that you recommended on top of Hot for Teacher and Spend My Life With You. So definitely make sure you definitely get those books for sure. And until next time, guys, have faith, have confidence, love you, always, always be you, and write what you want to read and read what you want to write. Talk to you guys later. Bye.